Namaste. Welcome to this special edition of Pinaki Gangopadhyay podcast on YouTube and also on Facebook. So we are also live on my channel Navovimas Bangla and Navovimas English. So we welcome you all to our joint podcast. So this is a joint initiative by Pinaki Yeah. So we have with us Pinaki Gangopadhyay, now very famous analyst from Bengal, who is touring the rounds of right-wing channels across across platforms. Very well-known, very eloquent speaker from Bengal, who is giving round reports to various portals and channels across the YouTube and other platforms. So, Namaste, Pinaki da.
Namaste.
So,
So,
yeah, so let me just start and give the audience, because this is a very not very easy topic to discuss, because we had discussed this in chats, in voice calls, that how to approach this, because in one of the podcasts, one of the videos by Mr. Sanjay Dixit, he had specifically mentioned this word, that the voting percentage of Bengali Hindus in 2026 elections is a landmark, is a groundbreaking data which nobody is talking about. So, and he has specifically mentioned that by Hindus politically Hindus voting as Hindus in 2026 elections, they have in the process have started to break the reversal of 1946. So now my mind went around in there. What happened in 1946 and why Mr. Sanjay Dixit is talking about a reversal of 1946. To just to give a primer to everybody in the audience, they might not be aware of 1946, 16th August, what happened, its political, social implications for Hindus for next 80 years. So Pinakita, I will request you just to give a few minutes primer on what happened in 1946, and then we will take this conversation forward.
yeah. So, thank you everyone for joining. Hope my voice is coming loud and clear because this is a time when all Hindu voices should come out loud and clear to everyone. So, with that, I start. I'll just set the context as Bhupen rightly put it there. Say, the question at hand is Bengal witnessing merely another election, or are we witnessing a psychological reversal of 1946? In 1946, Bengal's political future was shaped by the electorate at that time and the Muslim League's demand for a separate Pakistan, and the failure of the Hindus to consolidate their vote base, and which gave away the Bangla, which actually helped to create the Bangladesh or the East Pakistan at that time. Okay, in 2026, after the decades of infiltration and appeasement and political violence and vote bank engineering, Bengali Hindu voters seem to have walked away silently to the booth with one question: will 1946 repeat or will it reverse? So, if there is a real Poribarton, we have all been talking about Poribarton, which in Bengali which in English means change. Is that change a repeat or a reversal? So that's a question on that is of the Hindu voting pattern, Hindu vote bank, and over these last many years, what Bengal has witnessed, especially the urban Bengal, the Calcutta-based Bengalis, the Bhadralok have witnessed, is a slow trickle out effect of the people from this place. Okay, and which gave the leg room to the Muslims and the political parties to create that narrative that all tried to capture that Muslim vote bank and appeasement politics, which actually hurt them more than that did them service. Okay, and each successive government has been very much capitalizing on this till now. And as this time, actually for the first time in 80 years, from 1946 to 2026, a pure 80 years of history which has gone against the Hindus living in this state of West Bengal, or in the state of Bengal. I would say Greater Bengal, but including East Bengal, because that's where the most of the atrocities had happened. The population has come down from 19% to now merely 8%, but that also I don't know is the right number or not, with absolutely very marginal representation in Bangladesh government of the Hindu people, and totally marginalized, and fear. They're living in dread and fear. You have witnessed the recent killing of Dipu Chandra Das and others, so which are kind of an extreme. And Hindus, actually we don't talk too much about it. In 1964, the Dhakeshwari Mandir was burnt, and that's when a huge influx of Bengali Hindus have to leave Bangladesh, beside the ones that we know during the partition of 47, as well as during the 71 creation of Bangladesh phase. Okay, so going back to some of the timelines, in 1946, the Legislative Assembly, there was the Muslim League won 113 seats, while the Congress won 80 seats of the 250 assembly seats. Okay, the victory margin was significant, and that created the political force, gave the political force to create the partition of Bengal. So in 46, that referendum vote was not actually uh, was fought by the by Jinnah and others, Muslim League and others, as a mandate for a separate Bangladesh, separate Muslim dominated land, uh, that time called Pakistan. So separate electorate had already been divided into political consciousness. So that has so Muslims actually won staggeringly 113 of the 19 Muslim seats. Okay, so nearly 95% of the seats they have won on their own. So that consolidation has happened, and as a result of that, that has emboldened. So this election kind of happened in April of 1946, if I'm correct with my dates, April of 46, and then came the direct action day on 16th of August of 1946. Ironically, that's exactly 1 year from the date of final partition, and that was followed by the great killings at Noakhali, where thousands of Hindus were killed, and the Hindu-Muslim riots broke out, and Mahatma Gandhi came there. Mahatma Gandhi came there to and made things worse, actually. So with that, the Bengal's future has always been decided by that Muslim consolidated vote bank, you know, which is a sad thing in the sense, because if Hindus are 70% and above in Bengal, they don't have decide who forms the government. It is decided by the other 27% people that is there in the state. Okay, no no qualm against them, no nothing, but the way they have been manipulated, they have been brainwashed, and they have followed the diktats of the imam and their political masters, has clearly they never tried to mend their ways with the Hindus, and they have tried to pick that fight. Otherwise, Humayun Kabir, the in the recent said that, okay, I can cut thousands of Hindus and throw them in the Ganga. So this kind of statement, and Mamta Banerjee herself saying that if I just unleash one community against the other, Hindus can't live in Bengal, which is the worst thing as a chief minister can say. And still she is out on the streets campaigning and trying to win an election. She should have been arrested immediately by stroking that communal violence. But for whatever reason, she's still out in the open and campaigning and trying to create more confusion in the minds of her voters, so that some kind of agitation happens at the last minute also. So, reversal, when we talk about reversal, and Bhupen, when we talk about reversal, we don't mean revenge. What we mean basically is recovery. Okay. Hindus, as we being a Sanatani, revenge is not something that we are being taught in our dharma. It's not that way. But the dharma also tells us to create the resistance. You see Chhatrapati Shivaji standing up. It was not a revenge. It was safeguarding the interest of the Marathas at that time. So similar things needs to happen in Bengal, and this now the thing is, this has to happen in the ballot. And and we the Hindus be apologetic about our survival. Okay, because defense, self defense, is the first thing that we are being granted by the constitution. So we have to make that very clear. Beside that, in if we delve into a little more of this reversal, there are three major reversal that needs to happen. One is a psychological reversal, second is an electoral reversal, and one is a moral reversal. When we talk about a psychological reversal, is that Hindus in Bengal and in elsewhere in the country cannot be cannot be cannot actually think that, okay, we are lesser in number, we are fragmented, we are uncertain, and people are taking advantage of that uncertainty zone in our mind. The psychological reversal is also coming from the Hindu intellectuals who has adopted the left liberal ideas of secularism, and in the name of secularism they have taken the route of appeasement, and in the name of secularism they have taken the route of creating a vote bank, like a rat nest. The way they come out and vote. So that kind of a psychological reversal has to happen, and it has to be. Cannot forget. Basically, the problem with Hindus are the memory. They are There is a no memory. What I should say, the a memory, or a history lessons are not being. Our history lessons doesn't talk about this, and our people, like the Muslims, uh, go to the masjid, and their imams continuously talk about what wrong has happened to them, not from now, starting from the caliphate, and as well as from the means from Hassan Hussein, and all of that, against what all things that the Persians and the Greek did against them, and they are being stroked continuously on those lines. And Hindus are made to forget their past. So that remembering the past very essential as we try to do this reversal. And as Bhupen was saying, that memory refresh course, I don't know if you can see this book or not. So this is a book I have recently written. It's going to be published soon. It is called the Time for Bengal's Dharmic Reset. Okay, and that Bengal's Dharmic Reset is going to happen on the basis of these things. It's a memory refresher course. It's a memory refresher course. Just a second. So that's the thing. Second, I was saying about the electoral reversal. uh, like this time we have witnessed that Hindu consolidation has happened, that higher percentage of vote, around 92%, not around, over 92% voting has happened, that clearly states that the Hindu vote consolidation has happened. And that's a very, very good sign, and that is the thing that has actually brought us to this podcast today, because without that electoral consolidation, no change in a democracy can happen. And this is this electoral consolidation is a mandate, I would say, and tomorrow we will find it out in actual terms, is that the legitimacy of a citizenship, the infiltration, women's security, border protection, uh, then your people in the borders, how are they, people in the borders, how are they actually being treated? You know that in Bengal, in Bonga and all these border areas, their Hindus are not cannot even blow the shankho, or and cannot do their own rituals because of the fear of the Muslims. And the disheartening part is that a large chunk of this is being supported by the TMC gundas, as well as their political the political class of TMC, which is basically the cut money class of TMC. So they are actually creating this fake IDs, voter card, ration card, and letting them in. And as a result, we are seeing all NIA nabbing people from Bengal. So that is another big area. And then the moral reversal is in that political class, that the political class of Bengal, actually from Congress, after independence, has failed us, the Hindus. When I say us, I mean the Hindus continuously. And that moral, they because because they are following a syndicate politics, they are following false secularism and appeasement, as I said. So without repeating myself, I'm just saying कि when people vote at this level, so they are not merely choosing a candidate, they are sending a civilizational message. And that civilizational message is a very strong one that we'll see tomorrow. And the good part is I'm kind of going in not sticking to the 1946 events. I'll come to that in much more details, but I want to set the context key why it is important. And so this election actually has exposed the difference between managed democracy and protected democracy. There is democracy is the rule of the majority, but here, this whole thing of managed democracy, what happens is, it is the people of the ruling class, their cadres, their goons, they all come together and manage this voting system from pre-poll to post-poll, and then terrorize people. And that managed democracy has made sure that the governments don't change in Bengal. Otherwise, there was no reason for CPM to hang on to power without doing any beneficial work for the whole of Bengal for 34 years. And same, actually, what the CPM started, Mamata Banerjee actually perfected that. And now their people, and she's crying foul every day, going to the Supreme Court, and it's because her managed democracy model is failing, which is the Diamond Harbor model, to be precise. You have seen how Abhishek Banerjee actually won by 7 lakh vote margin. Okay, there is no chance that a person can win 95% of the votes. Okay, in any democracy. So there is something wrong, and that something wrong is now been fixed by the ECI, and we are walking into a phase of protected democracy, which is unfortunate that there has to be so much police deployment, so much of surveillance, and I don't know if you all know that 2,500 people have been arrested pre-poll, which had people with criminal cases, and have been actually picked up and detained in detained in different jails in Bengal, so that they cannot create the nuisance that they have been creating, and this unleashing of that terror doesn't happen anymore. The other part is, beside that also there has been your more than 5,000 people have been actually detained on the day of the poll. Those people who are kind of the local gundas, whose who had reports against them from the public, so they have been made to sit in the thana for the entire day, and they were let go from the thana at 5 p.m., so that they cannot influence the voters, and they can cast their own vote as a, because that also, that franchise is also guaranteed to them. So they were let go at 5 p.m. so that they can go to their centers and vote. So all this has happened to make sure, which is very unfortunate for Bengalis, because we have been the most culturally conscious people, soft spoken. We have created our contribution to in making this party in fight has been the greatest. So with all that, now we are doing a very different story. But there are, coming back to this 1946, there has been few things, and after that voting happened in 1946, the Muslim League's demand was again to for the partition. Um, Let me, give me 1 second. And then I think there was a Tarokeshwar conference where Shama Prasad Mukhopadhyay was authorized to take any decision. So the role of Shama Prasad Mukherjee in safeguarding, once it was decided that a partition is evident after the 46 election, Shama Prasad put his all political might into the fray and demanded for a separate homeland for the Hindus in India, Hindu Bengalis in India, and that is where the creation of West Bengal came into force. Okay, and that the 20th of June, if I'm not wrong, is the day when it was kind of the it was passed that Bengali Hindus are going to get their separate homeland. But what happened is they could not the whole Muslim population at that time did not move out. The same thing happened in Punjab as well, which created the Khalistani movement. So in Bengal, we did not have a Khalistani movement as yet, but with the Jamaat breathing on our borders, the Bangladesh volatile situation in Bangladesh, there is every possibility that there can be a Khalistan type of movement that may erupt in Bengal. So Bengali Hindu vote actually was, I can give you the numbers. Give me 1 second. Let me look it up. So in 1951, when the Hindu share of West Bengal was 78.9%, and in 2011 it is 70.54%. The Muslim share, on the other hand, increased from 19% to 27%. Hindu population, but the percentage does not reflect exact story, because when you convert that into number, because at that time the entire population of India may be around 30-40 crore, which is now 140 crore. So the Hindu population at that time was 2.7 crore, but was 2.7 crore. Muslim population was 51 lakh at that time, but now their population has moved up 5 times to 2.5 crore. So the political effect is that Hindu majority vote is fragmented between CPM, TMC, and some of these other parties, whereas the Muslim votes are consolidated previously in favor of the Congress. Then it moved in bulk to in favor of CPM with the Borga movement and the land reform movements, and that was precisely targeted towards them only to give them the land ownership rights. And now what happens is, with the TMC now taking it over to a different level with vote bank dilution, with your whole what I would say, creating this border situation, the chicken neck is at stake. So all this has a ripple effect, and that has not a ripple effect, I would say, it has a cumulative effect, which actually has put the Hindus at a very bad state. And the unfortunate part is that till today, or till very recently, we Hindus have been very quiet about it. And we have thought that being an elite means that we cannot be a Hindu. We cannot talk about being a Hindu, because that brought in some kind of a non secular, non liberal flavor. But I would make it a point through this podcast is that if you are not a Hindu, you cannot be a liberal, because the whole concept of dharma, which means balance, which means sustainability, is all about being equitable. And in terms of liberty, in terms of giving equal rights and equal preferences, you have to be a Hindu to be to give that right back mm, uh, to the other communities. If you consider the Hindus as a kafir, you will never be able to give the rights to the Hindus that they deserve. So let us put that in very black and white. So if someone is talking about being secular and then being uh, doing saying that, okay, talking about Muslims or calling their name out is not a very good thing from if you are an intellectual. I have put my foot down and have always spoken about it, not only here in outside India, also as I lived in other parts of the world. So I made it a point that, okay, Bengali Hindus are a disappearing race. Is a disappearing race, and we are so dispersed. So many Bengali talented people are living outside Bengal that we have lost that unity or the economies of scale, as you would say, to create an impact in Bengal. Uh, the Bengali Hindu vote bank diminished because Hindus disappeared. We left the ground. And today itself, I was talking to a person from Bonga. He said, "Ki Dada, I was my land. I had few acres of or few acres of land, and the rate was 50,000 rupees at the most. Then a Bangladeshi person came across the border and came with a lot of cash, and he bought my land at 80,000. So that's another place we need to look for as we move forward with the BJP, assuming that the BJP is forming the government, to to filter out or regain the land back from these Bangladeshi Muslims who have just entered or to grab the land and created the business along the border areas. So we'll have to be very cautious as Hindus to not to sell it to those just for sake of money and all of that, because and the government has to step in with these because they are forging documents and buying out our land and shops and businesses and everything. So the Kolkata, every trade is being dominated by the Muslims. So there is no hard feelings about it. It's just that we Hindus could not stick to that, and we took the easy way out by leaving the state or by going into jobs that are safe and secure. The government, even the Bengalis, the culture of being a salaried employee has been more attractive. Uh, people marry their daughters to a person who is a salaried employed rather than a businessman, and what happened is, as a result, we just became the clerks of this Muslim community that are there. Okay, so we have to. There is a lot of reversal as that has to happen, and that has to happen at a very fast pace. Uh, so, firstly, the Bengali Hindu vote bank diminished and disappeared. First, the share of population came down from 79% to 70% in this last 80 years. And this 70%, I also doubt ki once the 2026 census is done, we will be at least will be even 3-4% down from this number. So we can safely assume they are 33%, 40% in most of the places. Okay. Second, border districts, sharper demographic change. That reversal has to happen, because that's where this are. That is the breeding ground of terrorism. And third, most important, and as Bangladesh moves closer to the China-Pakistan axis, it is going to be very. Till Sheikh Hasina was there, there was less of a worry for India, I would say. But with this new government, although they are showing favorable signs, but you cannot, because there is a significant number of Jamaat who got elected this time. See, the problem is not in Bengal. If you look at it, it's not a demography; it's the disunity of that of the Bengalis. And because numbers matter in any election, and that's where things has to be set right. um, as I was saying, without Shama Prasad, and this is Shama Prasad's Bengal, and I'm sure when tomorrow election results are out, and as BJP wins, the first um, statement that may come from Modi or Amit Shah or
Uh,
some of the leaders
Pinakida,
is
your voice
that,
is breaking.
is
Pinakida,
it?
I think, or yeah, your voice was breaking. Now it's okay. Now you can
Okay,
speak.
okay. Sorry, I moved a little farther away. So as we see this tomorrow, the first message that I think will be delivered is that, okay, we have been able to regain Shama Prasad's Bengal. Shama Prasad being the Mukherjee being the founding father of BJP and Jansangh, through which BJP emerged. So we have to give that, and this is the 125th birth anniversary year of Shama Prasad, and to form the government on this at this time is the best gift that the nation can give to Shama Prasad and his legacy. So
Uh,
Shama Prasad was, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, so Pinakida, actually, I just want to summarize a few things for the audience. Okay, but
Yeah,
like you gave a lot of data points, you gave a lot of references, which are very important, historical and political. So, why we are calling this the reversal of 1946? What Pinakita has mentioned, that the disunity of Hindus made sure that in 1946, Sohrawardi of Muslim League became the prime minister of the undivided Bengal, and
yeah,
the power and the capture of power grabbed by Muslim League in 1946 was the final blow. which divided India into East Pakistan and West Pakistan. So in 2026, when Hindus again after 1946 have voted as a politically conscious Hindu. So in today's election, which happened in 2026, Hindus have voted as Hindus, the Hindu Bengalis, for the first time after 1946. So that's why we are talking about this as reversal from disunity to unity. The reversal is the unity of Bengali Hindus who are now ready to regain their old glory and make Bengal great again. Yeah, Pinaki.
Yeah, very valid point. And I was actually going through some of the comments. Maybe we can take it later, or is
No,
the
no. We need to do one more thing before we take the comments. Admin, just put the graphic because it's important not to only talk about the problem but also about the solution. So, Pineda, can you show the book to the audience again, if it's possible? So this is the book, Time for Bengal's Dharmic Reset. So this is Pinaki Das book, which will be available shortly on the major portals and platforms. So yeah, so and in this book there are about 7 chapters. Okay, so these 7 chapters talks about in detail in frameworks how we can do the reset. So all the Bengali Hindus and also who are not Bengali, who are Hindus, proud Hindus, this is our effort to make sure to create the resurgence, to create the framework, how we can make sure the reversal is on the ground, but not only psychological. So, Pinakita, if you can share your thoughts on these chapters and a bit of a summary, not the full detail, then we'll
Yeah.
take the questions.
So before I go there, I just wanted to cover two important things.
Please, please
As
go
I
ahead.
was moving to Shama Prasad, so two things happened during the 1946 killing. There was 10,000 Hindus that were killed overnight, and 15,000 more were injured. And Gopal Patha, or Gopal Mukhopadhyay, as as he's called, and so he actually fought the battle on the street and saved the Hindus. Otherwise, we wouldn't be staying here and talking today. And the second dimension was the Shama Prasad Mukherjee taking up the political fight, which in 47 actually resulted in creation of West Bengal, because his idea was that Hindus cannot be a perennial minority in their own homeland. So that's where he put his foot down. He resigned from that government. He was part of the initial government, but he did not. Then he kind of took it up on himself, and that's where the Bengal that we live, or the West Bengal, is comes into force. And
Yep.
so that those two things. And I made some notes. Let me check if I have
Yeah.
covered most of it or not. The street. See, the thing is, the problem at that time was a little different than it is now. At that time, there was this during that 1946 Calcutta killing. The Hindus were killed by the Muslims and that is a kind of a pattern that Muslims have followed all over the world, as they had made their conquest in every part and killed people and atrocities, rape and plunder and all of that. But what happens now is that Hindus who are actually following either TMC, and I have no qualm in calling them out, they are now targeting the Hindus just so that their political favorite wins. The Hindu identity has relegated to a secondary stage, where they think that their political identity as a TMC or a CPM is much bigger than their Hindu identity, and that's where they kind of falter. And this said, even yesterday, or means during this election, in the phase South 24 Parganas, we have seen that Hindu guys going house after house and threatening that don't come out and vote to BJP, because it's not, because they are not understanding the problem, or they understand the problem, but now they are paid workers of a political party, and being a paid worker of a political party is actually, now they are being they have been created so that now the Hindus are enough. You don't see a Muslim killing a Muslim killing a Hindu, because in most places you see a Muslim killing a Muslim only in Bengal, and Hindus are after this Hindus. So this is a trend very dangerous, because the enemy is not identified. Previously, the enemy was identified. There was a reason, creation of a separate Bengal and all of that. But now the situation is much worse. You know, so when we say the reversal of 1946, uh, we mean that the memory, the political wisdom of Shama Prasad, and the uh, level, defense that the Hindus need to build, like what Gopal Patha at that time did. We have to attack it not only just on a more what I would say theoretical level, but also on the ground. Because also, if you see during the election, during the independence time, Bengalis created this, not only the non-violent elements resistance that was done by Surya Sen and others, or Sri Aurobindo at that time, is primarily not limiting themselves to just the philosophical talk. It is creating that Onushilon Shomitis, and taking it to that level where you can be your own, create your own self defense. Hmm. In Okay, so after 46, what happened is, you know, Bengal entered that dangerous political phase. The Muslim leagues had won all non-Bengal seats in the east Bangladesh. I mean, it's now Bangladesh, and this reversal has been added. And Bangabandhu, although we remember him as the Masiha of Bangladeshi, but he was also a part of this great Calcutta killing. So we cannot forget that part also. Okay, like Shuravardi, he was also part, a hand in glove in this with Jinnah at that time, and these atrocities that had happened on Hindus. Uh, what else?
Yeah, Pinakita, if you are,
Yeah,
if you are like
yeah.
running your
I have more or less touched upon. If
hmm.
I have missed anything, please remind me, and we can move on.
Yeah, this is going to be an ongoing conversation. I think we can do many
Yeah, this
shows
is this.
regarding
See, the
this.
idea of this podcast, and I want to make it very clear, is not to give out solutions or not to create that thing, but to revoke or invoke that memory that we lost. Okay, it is something that we need to talk about more, because winning this election and becoming comfortable and complacent is going not going to help. So we have to make sure that any next government comes, they cannot take the same route of minority appeasement, Muslim appeasement, and then march to stick to the power. So I don't care which government comes, but being a Hindu, being an Sanatani, being an Indian, I want my Bengal to be part of India. I Because the way things are happening, and if TMC is winning this, if by any chance, God forbid, if any chance, things are going to be, we need to talk, will be very difficult. We need to talk about it in every club, party, any Bhadralok debates. this has to be part of our all debating thing, you know. Okay, so I take a
Yeah,
pause. I've been
yeah,
relentless for the last 40 minutes, 46 minutes.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. We really enjoyed your
yeah, it
comments,
is
your
more my
discussion point.
passion talking than me, you know. So it's yeah,
Yeah. So I just wanted to actually, because this is important, because
yeah,
there has been a lot of discussion, a lot of problem statements. For the
yeah,
first time, from the Hindu Bengali perspective, we
yeah,
have a author, a political personality, now an author. Like he has written this book as well. Okay, this is the book on. This book is God, Science, and Reality. Okay, Audacity of Reason and Tenacity of Truth. So this is Pinaki Das' earliest work. Now he has come with a new book, Time for Bengal's Thalvik Reset. So if somebody wants to understand uh, how the decline took place and where are the pain points that we need to be addressed. Okay. So these are the 7 pain points that Pinagita has addressed. It does not talk about only problems. It also gives you probable solutions or frameworks. How this resurgence, Hindu resurgence, as well as the reversal, the lost land. We have lost land in East Pakistan, where 1 crore Hindus came into West Bengal from East Pakistan. That lost land also has to be there for us because we lost land. So this reset and how the reset happens, how the framework works. If you read the book, you will get an idea. If you are a Bengali Hindu or not Bengali Hindu, this is for you that we have presented this. So Pinakita, just give a 5 minute brief. Or like,
yeah,
how did
sure.
you choose these points?
See, I was actually going through this the seven scenes, you know, the seven cardinal sins that the Western theology talks about, and then we have the Shororipu of in the Hindu context. Both are kind of same, and I have connected all that sins to the current situation of Bengal, and that decline that has happened is can be categorized in a, you see the arrows, say first you create an environment of terror, which is the river of blood. Okay, then uh, then you have a population who is under fear. Then you take away the employment, you take away the economic freedom. First you take away their physical or the political no, the physical fear, you induce the physical fear. Then you take away the economic freedom through the closed factories and almost in the TMC regime only, the Mamata government, there are 6,600 companies have left Bengal, and there is hardly any company whose headquarter is in Bengal today. Um, Previously, all companies, including the Tatas, had their whole headquarters based out of here. Tata Steel and all their headquarters were here. So anyway, uh, then what they did is with this, they did they kind of shamed our inheritance or our heritage by talking about this. We still have a Lenin Sharoni. We still have Ho Chi Minh Sharoni. We have all these people, and there is no reason why on earth you will have all these communist leaders statues and roads named after them. And I think there is also a street today named after Shorabuddhi. Okay, so we still carry. We have not. We have been so
And
casual, careless.
we also have one Syed Amir Ali Avenue, and who also played a very important part in
Yes,
creation of Bengal.
yes, yes, absolutely. And we have been shamed. We have been taught that okay, being a Hindu or is kind of a like a little shameful thing. You should be more agnostic and become more what I would say. Being non-religious was the more in fashion. Atheist was is the fashionable thing. And then what they did is they hijacked the education system totally. First CPM did that till class 5, no English education, that crippled the whole generation of people, where when we were growing up, that we were not able to, our friends were not able to get English education till class 5, which actually put them at a disadvantage when the rest of the country was studying English. And I'm not saying English is better or this or that, but since English is the international language and the language of business, so we kind of missed out on that education. Plus, the introduction of computers, that that was also throttled by our CPM, and the education system collapsed. There's hardly any infrastructure that they have invested in today in the in public education. So people are being made to go to the private education, private schools and colleges at a very high premium, which they cannot afford, and they're actually taking loans, and that is putting them in a trap of, because they want their kids to succeed, and there is no other choice because the public education system has totally failed. And giving this midday meal, and when I can't even express my anguish enough, saying that the corruption has happened even in the midday meal. People have been There are people in the TMC government, or in the TMC whole setup, where they're stealing the eggs that the kids were supposed to get. I can't believe that they can go to that level. Corruption has got to that level. Same thing with the hospitals and the medical system. Hospitals and the medical system, where there is the entire government hospital system has collapsed, and you will see the mushrooming of all super specialty hospitals. They charge exorbitant rates for simple things. Uh, so much. So this is so what then happened is that corrupted justice. So finally they what the justice system, the police, what I would say, the whole police is working as a under the behest of the TMC party. So people, even if you go to register a simple diary, it is very difficult to do that in Bengal without getting a approval, I would say, from a political master. So that way, and then finally the killing of the democracy by this capturing, booth capturing, so which we kind of this time regained. And now once that, the reversal path is just the same way as we came down. Like first, this booth capture and democracy managed democracy should go. So once that goes, tomorrow, we have the booth capture problem sorted. Then justice system, the police should be working as they have been working during this election, uh, working towards more, for the based on the EC's guidelines and all. Then the medical system, education system, and economy, all these has to come back, and the heritage will be part of this discourse all along. If we don't do this, we don't take this reversal path, then there is this convergence, which is chapter 8, which is the convergence of collapse. So we are looking at becoming another Bangladesh, another mass killing of Hindus happening. And then um, I wanted to take that chapter 9, to remind the glorious past of Bengal, the Gangadi, the Grand Kingdom, and the whole Chandroketu God, and our 2000, not 2000, more than that, the Indus Valley of the East, basically. So that civilization that had actually stopped the marching of Alexander's army. So uh, I talked about that, and then Bengali Ashmita and the Raj Dharma, the Raj Dharma, people forgotten covenant, the covenant, the deal, the understanding between uh, um, the elected and the normal people, that has suffered the most. The trust. So that is the Raj Dharma that I talk about in this book. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So thank you, Pinakida, for your effort to writing this book and also identifying the issues, the reversal areas which needs to be worked upon. So people who are watching this, this is how the reversal needs to work. So this is a framework. This is an ideation that Pinakida has worked upon. So admin, if you could paste the now super chat questions and few others so that we can quickly finish it. Yeah. So, Joy Guju, how is Pinakida and Dada is going to celebrate on 4th May? Pinakida, what are your plans?
I think, see, I won't say, I mean, I will definitely celebrate this as a revival. I will be celebrating more as days go past and I see my Sanatan Dharma coming to the center stage of discussion, and we actually instilling that hope inside the people that yes, we are safe, we are here to fight together and make Bengal great again. It may sound like Trump's dialogue, but let's make Bengal great again. That should be the mantra.
Can you add the Masood Runner statement and Bangladeshi Hindu? So, 224th. So, that's a very interesting comment. Uh, yeah. So, this is an interesting part. So, it's a Bengali. Let me just translate it for the non Bengali audience. So, the question is asking TMC Hindu Gundas where they live, so and so that we can give them flowers when TMC wins or when BJP loses.
কি টিএমসি হিন্দু
Yeah.
গুন্ডাগুলো কোথায় কোথায় থাকে খোঁজ রাখুন
Okay, so there's one more admin. There's one more question from Bangladesh Hindura, 24 সালে. Put that. That's a very important comment. 9:09 p.m. Just put that, and we'll take one more question. Yeah, Masud Ranal. Yeah, yeah, correct. This is a very important comment. So it mentions that the Bangladeshi Hindus on 24 to 2024.
না 24 সালে
Yeah, yeah. So he's saying that okay, the Bangladeshi Hindus are also fighting for their survival when the Sheikh Hasina government fell on 5th August 2024. The Hindus united and fought for their existence. So this is how do you? What's your comment on this? And how
yeah.
does this reflect on the Hindus in West Bengal as well?
They did fight, and this and if you remember the incident of during Durga Puja, how many pandals and were vandalized and idols were vandalized. So absolutely. So Hindus, if they can fight it out. They are, and we have been kind of being given all wrong ideas about our identity, that we are not a fighter, we are not this, we are not that, we are sober, and Gandhiji's theories and were all rubbish that has been fed into our mind. And so we have to be very very that resistance is my I always keep saying that we are each one of us living in a community are each one's resistance army. Okay, we have to fight for each other. We cannot expect in a country as big as India, as big as Bengal land, where the police system or governance can actually plug in. They will come in after the fact, but during the event, you will have to create that mentality, that Anushilon Komshomiti, the revival of the club, the club culture today is totally what I would say, mostly on by I don't
Unemployed
want to
youth,
unemployed
unemployed youth.
youth and non-productive things. So if that can be turned into a productive resistance by the club, because previously when we were kids, there were a lot of clubs who would take this up. Not like somewhere there was judo, karate, all that would happen, and the clubs actually need to come up because a lot of these things happen at a very neighborhood level, and that's where the clubs come into force. And we will also have to take our children out of this mobile and video gaming thing and send them to these places, because this is also a big problem that will come up in the coming days, because they are not good at anything except moving their fingers, and that will not keep them safe for long. So their parents should
uh,
I understand that. Yeah.
a last question we will take a Vyom. Take the Vyom's question so we can club both of his question. I will explain the question to Nakida as well to save some time. Yeah, put the Vyom's question on the screen.
Okay, I see a comment which says so much poison inside you. So
Yeah, I don't know.
no, I
Yeah,
want
okay,
to respond. I want to respond to
okay,
that.
okay. Go ahead,
It's
admin. Put that question on the screen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So see, I don't know your stance or anything, but there is what I have talked about is history and fact. Okay, it's not about poison. The poison is it is a suffering of the Hindus, and if being a Hindu, if I talk about it, and you interpret it as a poison, it's unfortunate. Whether you are a Hindu or a Muslim, I don't know, but uh, as a human being, suffering should be treated as a suffering. As a community, we have suffered from 1946 onwards, and even before that. Before that, from the Akbar's conquest to the Muslims becoming the kings of Murshid Quli, we have
Mujit Kuli Khan.
become Murshid Quli Khan. So we have actually been targeted continuously for the last 800 years. Bengal has been under Muslim rule from 800 years, for the last 800 years. Make no mistake. And this is the reversal of a time where at least the balance of power should come, where Hindus should feel safe. So please, my request is don't take it as a poison. It is a concern, and I hope you being from wherever which community you are or which place you are, you would feel the same if the same would have happened to you. Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, to take the Vyom's question. This is the last question we'll take for today. Yeah, put the Vyom question on the screen. Okay, so Vyom is talking about Hindu identity. So what? Okay, you can put the second portion of the question as well. So let me explain it to. So Vyom is asking whether having a only Hindu name is good enough to identify themselves as Hindus, because Vikas Ranjan Bhattacharya, Aparna Sen, and so many other people, they are Hindus by name, but would you consider them Hindu the way things they do and
No,
people they
no,
support?
no, not at all, not at all, not at all. So long as you have to be first of all a practicing Hindu. You know, you cannot just by birth you cannot be that, because being a Hindu at heart and taking up the cause of the Hindus is very important. I don't care whether Vikas Ranjan Babu has beef in lunch or anything, but it's his personal space. I don't want to interfere in that. But the point is creating the impression that they give this elite class, this elitist class who has survived on foreign funding. Ah, they have survived on foreign funding, their funding coming from China to Russia to wherever, I don't know. This party, ah, this party was, when Bengal was suffering, they sent shipload of sugar to Venezuela. The, I think that was in 80s, sometime in 80s. So they have they have taken up this communist route, and all these people, that this left liberal, have hidden behind the socialist framework, because socialism is not bad. And if there is any champion of socialism today, it is the Hindus in India and worldwide who support socialism, socialistic ideas, not the communist, because the communist word comes from the word com, which is the Muslim word actually, or the Persian word actually. So which means the congregation in a number as a resistance, com. So that word comes from communist. So I don't subscribe to that communism, but socialism, yes, absolutely, that's a fundamental thing as a human being we should have. And so when they talk about this, they can. I don't consider them as Hindus, because Hindus have suffered more than the Muslims from these people, these pseudo Hindus. And this is not to show them in a bad light, but the thing is, they have uh, they made it a point ki celebrity, stay using their celebrity status and taking funding from other outside India, and creating all this confusion about Hindus and being a Hindu and atheist. Whatever he or she does, it's her personal choice. We cannot interfere in that. But making a political or making a public comment coming from a celebrity which disarms a Hindu or even a educated Hindu is not doing service and I to the Hindus, and I don't consider them to be Hindus as well.
Thank you, Pinakida, for this wonderful session, for wonderful information, political,
Yeah,
sociological, and also historical information that you had shared today. Many of these are people would not read too many times, and also you pinpointed the issues which Bengal had. And in coming podcast, we will discuss these issues in detail,
yeah.
how we need to solve them. So thank you, audience, for all the questions.
Yeah, and I
Those
would
who
request, I would request you, Bhupen, you share it across the platforms, because this is a conversation that cannot be limited to my channel, and I need people to join into this conversation, especially the people who understand the gravity of the situation in Bengal. And I would request the same thing to all the viewers. If you can circulate, I'm not telling you to share, because sharing is something different. I want you to circulate as a Hindu. You know, this is going to be the manifesto of the new government. We need to make it a point that the newly appointed government should take this up with all seriousness.
Yeah, thank you, Pinakida, again, and
Yeah,
thank you, audience, for wonderful questions. We hope to see you again. Do subscribe to Pinakida's channel, do subscribe to our channel, and support us if you can. So we will be back in half an hour for another election analysis video. And every Sunday 9 p.m., myself Pinakida will sit together and discuss burning issues of the
yeah.
week, of the month. So Jai Shri Ram, Vande Mataram.
Jai Vande Mataram.